If you're staying in Zurich for a few days, you might want to consider a day trip to a nearby town. And one of the closest destinations is the historic city of Zug. It has a small historic center with several remarkable buildings. It's just about a half an hour away by train, and the trains leave twice an hour from Zurich, so it's really easy to get there. It's a direct train, you don't have to change, and some nice scenery along the way. And then when you arrive in Zug, you'll notice that the train station is shockingly modern. If you think you're coming to visit an old historic town, which is really the plan, you'll be surprised at how beautiful and up-to-date the station is. And in fact, the city itself is a modern city with a historic old town. And that's what we're here to see. So you can get on the public bus. You don't want to walk from the train station to the old town. It's just too far. It's over a mile. So get on the bus, and it's a short ride, take you through the modern part along the lakeshore. There's a beautiful Lake Zug. You'll soon be arriving within a few blocks of the old town. The map shows how small the old town is. Really, it's just a few blocks down by the lakeshore. And before walking into it, you can walk around a little bit in the modern streets of the city as well to get a quick little overview. For several blocks all around the outside of that old town, you've got the lovely, charming, typical Swiss buildings with their pastel colors and historic facades. Many of these are 500 years old. Of course, it's also a very modern city, and you might be surprised that Little Zug is an economic powerhouse. The population of the city is about 27,000 people, and there are 27,000 companies registered in the city of Zug. That's because it's a tax haven. They extend special breaks to foreign corporations with a very low corporate tax rate of about 8.5%. And so thus they are host to such luxury brands as Cartier, headquarters of Piaget, and Vacheron, and others. They are big in the oil business too, with about 3% of the world's petroleum traded here, and a Zug-registered corporation is building a critical gas pipeline to link Russia with Europe via the Baltic. Of course, education is very strong in Switzerland, especially in a city like this that is so economically powerful. And the locals seem quite healthy with a high standard of living. Typical of Switzerland, the prices are high, but so are the incomes. Until you get inside those several blocks of the old town, it's normal traffic out here. You will spot some historic sites on your way, including the Municipal Theater, which is over 100 years old. This tower, over 500 years old, was used to store gunpowder. And then there's the castle, which is one of the landmarks of the city. It's now a historic museum inside there. For the kids, it's just a soccer field. We're just making a half-day excursion from Zurich, so not taking time to go inside any museums, mostly just walking around in the old streets of the old town. In yellow, the preserved historic district, and blue shows how far it went back in the old days. We have arrived inside the old town. We're on Untitled, which is the main street of the old town. It's only a couple of blocks long. As we walk along it for the next minute, you'll get a thumbnail sketch of the history. Zug was founded in about the year 1200 by Austrians, the Habsburgs, typical of much of Switzerland. And by 1352, it joined the Swiss Confederation. It was the 8th canton to join, and it had to because it was surrounded by the other 7. Most of the buildings we see today are at least 500 years old and beautifully preserved. Notice the split-level street here, a very impressive adaptation when you are building your city on a sloping hill. It's like a terrace embankment. It's quite a unique touch and helps stabilize the buildings, which is important here because in 1435 there was a catastrophe where the lower road of Zug fell into the lake and 60 people died and 26 houses got destroyed. Of course, there are some hotels here, small hotels if you wanted to spend a night or two and have a relaxing visit. And we'll notice several attractive sidewalk restaurants as we walk around. Especially beyond this town water fountain, get to the end of Unteraltstadt and you arrive at the Fischmarkt, a cross street that has got 3 wonderful looking restaurants, surrounded by historic buildings. We'll see more of that clock and arch tower in a few minutes. This was filmed in the month of May, so the weather was really quite nice. It's usually in the 70s or high 60s in May. Perfect time to be here. Friendly family from Macedonia spoke some English, so we had a nice conversation. One of the benefits of traveling in any country, you'll meet foreigners from all over. At the end of the lane, you run into the lake. You can't miss that sight. It's so tranquil to see the restaurant along the shore and the boathouse and the old houses. The town is very proud of its views of sunset over the lake, but we're not sticking around that long to see it, so we'll just enjoy it during the daytime. There's a path you can walk along here, or bicycle, or just sit down at a park bench and relax. And there's a fishing museum down here if you'd like to learn about the pike and trout that inhabit the lake. Otherwise, that's about it for seeing the interior of the old town, enjoying a few more glimpses of buildings and details and flower pots as we make our way out through the arched gateway to outside the walls and then turn around and look back at the view. That is perhaps the most spectacular view of the entire visit, saving the best for last. This fountain and heroic statue are at Colin Square, which is the site of the City Hall, the Stadthaus. Most impressive historic site has got to be the Zeitturm, or clock tower, standing over the medieval gateway. A fitting climax to our little visit to Zug. Look for our complete series of travel videos about Switzerland, covering many highlights of this beautiful country. We've got snow-covered mountain scenes and train rides across the lush green landscape. We've got detailed city visits to Lucerne, Interlaken, Zermatt, Lugano, and Locarno. We take you on hikes on mountain trails, boat rides, and many travel tips, showing you how to get the most out of a visit to Switzerland. Look for these videos in our travel series.